Okay guys, Rubbin' Butt Smokers here. We're gonna do a little practice cook today. I'm not the normal brisket guy. Colby's does our briskets normally. The upcoming competition we have next weekend though, we have 2 spots, so we're gonna have 2 turn-ins. So I'm gonna do all 3 entries for the second turn-in, chicken, brisket, and ribs. So got to get a little practice on the brisket this week before the competition. Went to Walmart. Was going to grab just a cheap choice brisket just to practice a couple little seasoning ideas I have. They had one brisket, one in the whole store, so we grabbed it. It's ugly. It's 19 pounds, so we're going to try to trim it up at least semi-decently and throw it on the pit outside. We got the Aggie barrel fired up right now. It's getting ready, so here we go. We're going to trim this ugly beast and see what happens. It's got a lot of fat. It is ugly as hell. So we're going to trim it up a little differently for the barrel or the ugly drum as we would the big pit. Yeah, actually for a choice brisket, it's got a nice little bend to it, but it's very ugly. So competition trim, I'm not great at it. So by all means, just criticize. It don't matter. I take constructive criticism very, very well. But we're gonna square it up a little bit, maybe make it a little better for the box size, but God, this thing is terrible on the back side. Look at that, that's awful. It's all right, this is more about the cook time, the injection we're gonna use, and we're gonna see how well I can do brisket. I'm not too bad. We'll save all this extra stuff and cook it later. Yes, I know I cut most of the point off, but it's what I do when I trim a competition brisket. But again, I'm not the brisket guy, so I don't have I can tell you all about the chicken and how I do the chicken, but we're gonna give this a try. Maybe I'll give old Colby a run for his money. I forgot, didn't sharpen my knives because I can't find my sharpener, so let's see here. I just do not like the way this thing looks. It is ugly, guys. Well, let's see here. How do I want to do this? Should have thought this through a little more before I started trimming it. Messed it up already, but that's all right. That's all right. It's going to be good. It's going to be small. I normally like to buy 14, 15 pound briskets. A little easier for me. I think they cook better. But this one will work out all right. Trim it down smaller because normally I would fit 2 briskets on the drum, so I got to get them a little smaller just to have both of them fit on the drum. All right, we semi got it shaped. We're going to start trimming all this god awful ugly fat off of here. This brisket at all. This is an awful brisket. See hi to Nikki.
Hi. That was your only option though, right?
This was the only option we had.
Only brisket there.
Awful, it really was. Awful. That's all right. This cook is mostly for timing, a new injection I got, and some seasoning. We're using the butcher's cut for the most part. We have some other seasonings we go in there. Love the butcher's cut. And I just want to get my ratios down on the butcher's cut and just some techniques that I'm going to use throughout the cook just to change it up a little bit and see how it turns out. I normally will wrap in butcher paper, but this wrap I'm gonna go completely foil because I totally butchered this one up. Sorry guys. That's all right. Again, this is just for a flavor profile I'm going for. Yeah, I don't like this brisket at all. Just awful. That's all right. Make for some interesting comments because this is terrible. I would not have picked this brisket out in a million years, but like I said, we're just going for flavor profile on this. I'm trying something different, so my knives are god awful dull. I didn't sharpen them. So don't pay attention to how ugly the brisket looks. I'm just doing this because I can. And I got a whole bunch of projects going on today, so I figure I'll throw the brisket on while I'm finishing up some other projects. Probably going to cook this in about 5 hours, give or take. Oh, this fat is just awful. Get all this silver skin off of here. Yeah, I butchered this. That's all right. It's gonna slice nice. I still bend. It's got a good bend to it. It really does. And for the most part, I know a lot of people leave some of the fat on. I try to take almost all the fat off the bottom. I don't like fat on the bottom. I know a lot of people say it helps. I don't think so, personally. Again, personal preference though. Barbecue is subjective. There's no, in my opinion, there's no real right way, wrong way to do it. You know, if you find something that works for you, then great, use it. If not, well, watch a whole bunch of people. I am not the greatest brisket person in the world. I'm terrible at trimming. I usually like to get Nikki to trim because she's very good at it. But she and I have kind of a friendly wager going on because this next competition, I'm doing all 3 categories for the second turn-in, and she's got to do chicken for the main turn-in, from the main team, which is my normal category. So this morning she said she was going to kick my butt. We'll see. I hope she does. If she kicks my butt, that means we're doing well. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. Sharpen your darn knives before you start. This knife is so dull. Let's see if the other one's any better. It's a little better. Yeah, I did an awful trimming job on this, guys. I wasn't paying attention to as much as I should have to the way I boxed it up before I cut it. So totally screwed her up, but it's all right. Whatever. It's going to taste good, I think. I'll show you the seasonings, injection, and everything we're using in a little while once I get this trimmed up. So I'm going to pause the video for a second, and we'll come back in a little while. All right, guys, we're back. I did as good a job as I could do on this brisket. You know, it was not very good, but I think it's going to taste pretty good. We're going to do some injection now. You know, we're injecting. I've never tried this stuff. I've heard a lot of good stuff about it. Texas Oil does, Calcutta. We're going to give this injection a try, see how it comes out. We're going to follow it up with our normal seasonings. We use onion powder, chili powder, paprika, garlic powder, salt, pepper. But we top it off, the main ingredient, Butcher's Cut, Texas Dirt, and the Butcher's Blend. This stuff is fantastic, guys. If you haven't tried this stuff out yet, you really need to. Check them out on Facebook, the Butcher's Cut. They have Instagram, Facebook. They have a website. Give them a shout. Tell them Rub 'N Butt Smoker sent you. That'll help us out. And we're going to go ahead and inject this brisket real quick. I will come back here shortly when we do the seasoning, and we'll go through that. I am by no means an expert on injections. I've never been a fan of injecting briskets, but it seems like that's what everyone's going these days, so I figured, well, let's give it a try. I do know you want to inject it with the grain. If you don't, it leaves all sorts of funky marks when you let it sit out for a while. So we'll see. This will only be my second brisket that I've ever injected. The last injection I used was a different brand. I was not a fan of it. I will not say what it is because they're a nice brand. It just wasn't up to my taste. I didn't care for what it tasted like. So, but again, like I've said before, barbecue is subjective. What I hate, other people love, and vice versa. So far, though, I can tell you I really like this injection. I've tasted it. It tastes good, and I think it's going to come out really nicely. Be careful not to poke yourself. I have a terrible injector, as you can tell. Tony Sacheries comes with the free injector that it comes with. So I definitely suggest getting a better injector because this thing is terrible. But it does the job for what I needed to do for this. I will get a better injector if I decide I want to continue to inject my briskets. But again, I'm not the normal brisket guy. That would be Colby, so I think Colby has a better injector. This works just fine for me when I inject my chicken, because that's my category, chicken. But we're going to give it a whirl. All right, I'm going to clean up just a tad bit, move this over to the cutting board, and I will be right back, guys. Okay, guys, we're back. I like to personally rub it down with mustard before I put the seasoning on. I think it just helps help that seasoning bind to the brisket. You're not going to taste the brisket, so don't worry about that. Don't pay attention to the bottom of this brisket. It's awful. It really is. My way that I like to season is I'm going to hit it. God dang it, of course my onion powder is not open. Hold on a second, guys. Alright, there we go. Now that we got it open, I like to sprinkle a little bit of onion powder on. Now, I do both sides of the brisket. We're going to go onion powder, a little bit of garlic powder, and then my chili powder. You know, most of this is just my base layer of seasoning. Most of the top layer is going to be the Butcher's Cut, but this just gives a little bit of, extra flavor in my opinion. Chili powder. Now we go to the paprika. Would you know my paprika is not open? So let's open that real quick. Of course. There we go. There's I think it's a Himalayan sweet paprika I really like to use. I use that on my chicken. Not going to use it on the brisket this time. There we go. Alright, a little bit of paprika. Now this is just the bottom, so I'm not too worried about getting it perfect. You're never going to be perfect, but just enough to have it on the bottom. Alright. We're going to hit it now with a little bit of the Butcher's Blend. some pepper. I don't like to go heavy on my pepper. I know a lot of Texas brisket people like salt, pepper, and garlic. Well, competition barbecue and everyday barbecue is a lot different. So now we're going to put a little bit of Texas dirt on the bottom. Not a lot, because this is more for later on in the cook. I like to put it on there. I like the flavor of the Texas dirt, so I don't go real heavy on the salt. But the top of the brisket, alright, there we go. The top of the brisket is where we're going to get a little more detailed. I wouldn't say detailed, but I'm going to be a little more careful about how much I put and where I put it. But the same order for the most part, you know. My briskets, my everyday brisket that I cook is quite a bit different than this. But we're going to give it a try and see how our competition brisket does. Hopefully we get a call out of it. You never know. You never know what people are going to say that day. You never know how messed up I might get it when I cook it. The last competition we did, our brisket guy wasn't able to make it, so I cooked the brisket, and it did not turn out greatest. Yeah, that was my fault. I timed it wrong. A little bit of garlic powder. I know I say a little bit, but this thing lets it out. I don't think you can ever have too much garlic powder. You know, my normal briskets every day, I'm not gonna, with these briskets, I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna put some sauce on it, we're gonna top it off with a little extra seasoning. Normal everyday brisket, I wouldn't do that. Back to paprika. Thing about competition briskets is they get one bite, so you gotta make that one bite as flavorful as you can. They're not gonna eat a whole piece of it. Butcher's Blend. Guys, this Butcher's Blend, it really is fantastic. We made some pork chops the other day with just Butcher's Blend and the red rub, which I'm not using for this. It really is fantastic, guys. Some pepper. Again, I'm not heavy on pepper. I don't like a lot of pepper on my briskets. And just a little bit of the Texas dirt to start, because we're going to come back later with more Texas dirt once it's cooked down. Once we're finished cooking, basically, we're going to come back with the Texas dirt and hit it heavily on the top with it. So this is just a little bit to get it cooking right now. And we are done with the seasoning for now. There will be more later, and we'll come back with that later. Look who showed up, guys. She showed up to trim up the extra cut off brisket. We're going to probably throw this in the pressure cooker. Or whatever. Don't let anything go to waste. Use all the fat to make some beef tallow. Maybe. Who knows? Miss Nikki is done trimming, or not trimming, but cutting up the leftovers. With the price of meat these days, guys, that was oh, there's a fly in there. That was a choice brisket, and it was $62, a darn 20-pounder. So you're gonna take advantage of every single piece of meat and fat. So this one right here, she's gonna do Asian stir fry, stew meat, and then we're gonna bag all that up for when we make sausage. Use every piece of meat you can, especially with the cost of meat these days. It's only going to get worse. Okay, guys, it's been on for a little while. It's we're 318 on the Guru, but we're running just under 300 on the regular temperature gauge. Let's see what she's looking like. Oh, it's beautiful. Hadn't been on long, guys. Hadn't been on long, but we're going to spritz it with a little bit of butter. If I can get, there we go. Periodically going to do this. And keep it going. See, we're internal temp is only 123 right now, so we got a long time to go. All right, we've got her pulled off the pit. She's at 165 now, so time to wrap her. A little bit of butter down. Butcher's blend. Gonna add a little bit of barnyard pimp as well. Look at that, she's pretty. All right. Not too much on that side, that's alright though. Come back over the top, a little more. Just a little bit. Now I normally wrap in all butcher paper, but we're gonna give a try of something different this time. I'm gonna wrap it in foil. All right, throw it back on the pit. Let it go to 208, 210, give or take. Depends on how it feels. Well guys, I thought I was doing a video recording, but I was just doing a photo. So you missed the look of it, but here we are. 10 minutes with the Texas dirt. Put some barnyard pimp on top of this after we sauced it with some Texas oil dust. Their sauce that I'm giving a try. So we're gonna let this sit for about 10 minutes and then it'll be ready to go, and we'll be back shortly. Guys, gonna give you a real quick close-up of it. So far, it looks delicious. We'll find out. We're gonna do the slicing here in just a second. All right, guys. Well, let's see how she turned out. Smells good. The brisket itself was not a very good brisket, so I'm not optimistic about how the tenderness of it was. But I really am going for more of the flavor profile and the timing of it. So let's see. Let's cut a little bit. All right. Cut this end off right here. Well, I'm going to give it a try. Well, flavor-wise, delicious. This brisket, like I said, was not a good brisket. It is kind of dry. Yeah, it's well, you know, it's got a nice little flop to it. Good little bark. Nice little pull. Well, I think I got the flavor profile I was going for. Didn't much care for the way this one cooked. I need to get my electric knife out. think I might have actually overcooked this one. Yeah, overcooked it, but you know what? It's gonna make some great chopped beef on a baked potato tonight. So that was our cook for today, guys. Flavor wise, I think it's gonna work. Cook time, 6 hours to cook it. Probably did a little too long. I probably should have pulled it at 210 rather than 213. But we let it rest for only an hour, so I could have used a little more rest time as well. I'm just, it's getting late and I'm hungry, so overall I'm impressed with the injection, the Texas oil dust injection, and as always, butcher's cut Texas dirt, delicious. So I think we're going to give this particular recipe a go at the next competition. Obviously, we're going to use a much better brisket. I'll get a Moshak's Prime or something along those lines. But for tonight, we're going to chop this up and we're going to eat some baked potatoes. Guys, I appreciate y'all watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll do some more cooks. Our YouTube channel is kind of new. It's mostly been for the cook-offs, but we're going to start doing some more cook videos. And we're going to post a whole bunch more of our competition videos. So, like the video, subscribe. Go over to Facebook, Instagram, check out our Facebook page, Rub and Butt Smokers. Check out Instagram, Rub and Butt Smokers. Again, guys, if you haven't tried them, give the Butcher's Cut a whirl. At least give them a try. Order the three. They have 3 different flavors right now. They have Texas Dirt, the Butcher's Blend, which we use both of those on this brisket, and they have Red Rub, which goes amazing on pork. I use that for my ribs, and I actually use that for some of my chicken as well. So head on over to Facebook or Instagram and check the Butcher's Cut out, and get the 3 of them that they've got that they're selling, guys. Tell them Rub and Butt Smokers sent you, and that'll help us out. At least let our sponsor know that we're trying. I appreciate it, guys, and we'll see you on the next video.